In the ancient lands, amidst the burgeoning settlements and nomadic encampments, a story unfolded that would echo through generations. A stark testament to the complexities of honor, vengeance, and the fragile bonds between peoples. It began with a simple act, a young woman's innocent curiosity, which swiftly spiraled into a profound tragedy. Dinah, the daughter of Jacob, a patriarch whose family had journeyed far, sought to engage with the world beyond her immediate kin. She ventured forth, drawn by the allure of companionship, to visit the local women of the land, the daughters of Heth. Her innocent excursion, however, would soon shatter the peace. Shechem, the son of Hamor, a prominent Hivite leader and prince of the region, observed Dinah. His gaze, once fixed, became predatory. In a moment of unchecked desire and power, he seized her, violating her person and her dignity. This act of profound transgression ignited the spark of a devastating conflict. Yet, in a twist of human emotion, Shechem's initial brutality gave way to an unexpected infatuation. After his heinous act, he found himself genuinely drawn to Dinah, his heart captivated by the very woman he had so grievously wronged. He yearned to make amends, to transform his crime into a bond. His desire for Dinah became an overwhelming obsession. He sought not merely to possess her, but to marry her, to win her affection and integrate her into his life. This sudden shift from violence to ardent pursuit added another layer of complexity to the unfolding drama. Driven by this newfound passion, Shechem turned to his father, Hamor, the respected leader of their people. He pleaded with Hamor, imploring him to negotiate for Dinah's hand in marriage, believing that such a union could rectify his transgression and secure his happiness. News of Dinah's defilement reached Jacob, her father, like a chilling wind. He received the devastating tidings while his sons, the protectors of his household and honor, were absent, tending to their flocks in the fields. In their absence, Jacob remained silent, his heart heavy with dread and uncertainty. Upon the return of his sons, the full weight of the calamity descended upon Jacob. He recounted the grievous news, and the patriarch was deeply distressed, his countenance reflecting the profound shame and sorrow that had befallen his family. The violation of his daughter was an affront to all he held sacred. Jacob's sons, hearing of their sister's plight, were immediately consumed by a righteous fury. Their shock quickly transformed into indignation, for they viewed Shechem's act as an unspeakable outrage, a defilement not only of Dinah, but of their entire lineage and their sacred covenant. As the family grappled with their pain, Hamor, Shechem's father, approached Jacob and his sons. He came not with aggression, but with a diplomatic overture, seeking to discuss the matter and find a path towards reconciliation and alliance. His intentions, at least outwardly, seemed peaceful. Hamor, speaking for his son and his people, proposed a grand vision of peaceful integration between their two communities. He envisioned a future where the Hivites and Jacob's family would live side by side, their destinies intertwined, their prosperity shared. To solidify this proposed unity, Hamor suggested a policy of intermarriage. He offered the daughters of his people to Jacob's sons, and, in turn, requested Jacob's daughters for his own sons, believing that such unions would weave their families into an unbreakable tapestry. Furthermore, Hamor extended an invitation for Jacob's family to settle freely among the Hivites. He offered them shared land, promising them the liberty to acquire property and thrive within their territory, thereby enriching both communities through mutual cooperation. Shechem, still consumed by his desire for Dinah, added his own fervent plea. He personally offered to pay any demanded bridal price, no matter how exorbitant, to secure Dinah's hand. He was willing to sacrifice wealth for what he believed was love and redemption. Jacob's sons, however, were not swayed by Hamar's diplomatic overtures or Shechem's passionate pleas. Their hearts still burned with anger, and a deep-seated desire for retribution festered within them. They chose not the path of negotiation, but the treacherous road of guile. They responded to Hamor and Shechem with a carefully crafted deception. They declared that they could not, under any circumstances, give their sister to an uncircumcised man, deeming such a union a profound disgrace and an affront to their sacred traditions. They presented circumcision as the sole condition for marriage and integration. This was not merely a religious requirement, but a strategic demand designed to exploit the Hivites' vulnerability and pave the way for their vengeful scheme. This condition, they insisted, required every male among the Hivites to undergo the ritual of circumcision. Only then, they claimed, could their two peoples truly become one, sharing a common bond and a common destiny. The sons of Jacob, in their cunning, understood the profound implications of their demand. They knew that this painful procedure would leave the Hivite men incapacitated and vulnerable for several days, rendering them defenseless against any attack. They concluded their deceptive proposal with an ultimatum. If the Hivites refused to meet their condition, they threatened to take Dinah and depart, severing all ties and leaving the Hivites to face the consequences of their refusal. Hamor and Shechem, blinded by their desires and the promise of prosperity, found the proposal fair and agreeable. They saw only the potential for alliance and the fulfillment of Shechem's love, failing to perceive the sinister intent behind the demand. Shechem, in particular, was eager to accept the condition. His deep love for Dinah, coupled with his high standing and influence within his clan, made him a powerful advocate for the agreement. He believed this was the only path to his desired union. The Hivite leaders were further swayed by the enticing prospect of unity and the acquisition of Jacob's family's wealth. They envisioned their own prosperity increasing through the integration of Jacob's extensive livestock, valuable possessions, and skilled labor. Hamor and Shechem, with their combined authority and persuasive arguments, successfully convinced their town council to agree to the circumcision. The promise of a stronger, wealthier community overshadowed any potential misgivings. Thus, a solemn decree was issued throughout the city. In a collective act of faith and hope for a brighter future, all able-bodied males in the city of Shechem underwent the painful ritual of circumcision, believing it would forge an unbreakable bond with Jacob's family. The Hivite men, enduring the discomfort and temporary incapacitation, awaited the promised integration. They believed they were laying the foundation for a lasting peace and a prosperous alliance, unaware of the dark fate that awaited them. On the third day, following the mass circumcisions, a time when the Hivite men were still in the throes of pain and recovery, their bodies weakened and their movements hampered, the carefully laid trap was sprung. Their vulnerability was at its peak. Simeon and Levi, Dinah's full brothers, driven by a cold, calculated fury, launched a surprise attack on the unsuspecting city. Their hearts were hardened by their sister's defilement, and their minds set on a brutal vengeance. They moved through the city with ruthless efficiency, their swords drawn and their intent clear. They massacred all the males in the city, showing no mercy, their actions a chilling testament to the depth of their rage and the severity of their perceived dishonor. Among the fallen were Hamor and his son Shechem, the very individuals who had sought peace and alliance. Simeon and Levi cut them down with their swords, ensuring that the perpetrators of Dinah's violation paid the ultimate price. With the male population annihilated, Simeon and Levi retrieved Dinah from Shechem's house, her ordeal finally brought to a violent close. Her rescue, however, was merely a prelude to further devastation. The other sons of Jacob, witnessing the success of their brother's initial assault, followed up the slaughter. They descended upon the city not merely for vengeance but for plunder, their actions driven by a desire to exact a full reprisal for Dinah's defilement. They sacked the city without restraint, seizing everything of value. Their hands were quick to gather the spoils of war, driven by the belief that the Hivites owed them for the grievous wrong committed against their sister. They plundered the city's wealth, seizing flocks, herds, and asses, adding to their own considerable possessions. The Hivites' prosperity became the spoils of Jacob's sons, a bitter irony given the Hivites' initial hopes for shared wealth. They carried off all their wealth, including the women and children, as loot. These innocent lives, now displaced and enslaved, became further casualties of the brutal retribution, their futures irrevocably altered by the actions of a few. Jacob, witnessing the horrific aftermath of his son's actions, was utterly horrified. He had sought peace, but his sons had brought forth a bloodbath, staining his family's name with an indelible mark of violence and treachery. Jacob feared the inevitable retaliation from surrounding communities. The Canaanites and Perizzites, powerful peoples inhabiting the land, would surely view this act as a dangerous precedent, threatening the fragile peace of the region. He believed his sons had brought profound shame and imminent danger upon his family. Their actions, he lamented, risked their annihilation, making them odious in the eyes of all who dwelt in the land, a small and vulnerable clan surrounded by powerful enemies. Simeon and Levi, however, remained unrepentant and defiant. They defended their actions with unwavering conviction, believing their vengeance was righteous and necessary. They saw no fault in their brutal retribution. They argued that their sister had been treated unjustly, her honor desecrated. With a rhetorical flourish, they challenged their father, asking, "Should our sister have been treated like a harlot?" Their question hung in the air, a stark justification for their unforgiving wrath.